I'm Jeff, and I'm an alcoholic and drug addict. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 3, more about alcoholism. And I'm going to read a little bit here to you, and then we'll go over it. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove that we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever regains control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We're like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. All right, now, in the beginning of this section, like it says, most of us were unwilling to admit we were alcoholic. Well, for me, the first time I went through treatment, I wasn't even old enough to drink. So I knew I had a problem with alcoholism, but I wasn't ready to say I'm an alcoholic. Because for me, I was still a kid. I'm watching all these shows, and an alcoholic was a wino sitting on the edge of the street drinking his Mogan David, or his Mad Dog 2020, or whatever, That's what a real alcoholic was some street bum. So that wasn't me. That wasn't me, man. I wasn't an alcoholic. So it takes a little while to really understand, once you understand more about the disease, that it has nothing to do with where you drink or what you drink or who you drink with, to where you can finally say, oh, damn it, I'm an alcoholic. All right, then, most of this then is talking about how, for some of us, it's important that we're just like everybody else. Heaven forbid we're not like everybody else. All of my friends can go downtown and drink. So why shouldn't I be able to do the same thing? And anybody confronted with being an alcoholic or having problems with alcohol are going to do whatever they can to try and prove that that's not the truth. Well, I'll only drink on weekends. I'll only drink beer. I'll only start with 2. I won't drink on Tuesdays. I won't drink on Sundays. I'll only drink on this day. I'll only drink with certain friends. I won't drink at all. I'll just smoke a little pot. There's just so many different excuses and so many different ways to try and prove that you're not alcoholic, that if that insanity wasn't there, you would already see, dude, you're going out of your way to try and prove you're not what you really are. I mean, hello. It's insane. There's just so much insanity with this disease. It's ridiculous. And like they say, every time you might say, well, I can quit on my own. Boy, I can't even count how many times I've heard that. I can do it on my own. I don't need help. I'm not an alcoholic. And some of these people, like they say, they stay sober. My dad stayed sober for a year when my mom was sick. Well, my dad stayed dry for a year when my mom was sick because he was one miserable son of a bitch without not having that alcohol. And then when that relapse comes, the progression is huge, and it's phenomenal about how fast it is, that not only are you back to where you were, but it's progressed even beyond that from where you was at before. Do yourself a favor. Do these steps. Take step 1. I am willing to admit that I'm powerless over alcohol and was unmanageable in my own life. I couldn't do it. Alcohol had control. Alcohol controlled my life. Does that make me a bad person? Well, at the time, that's what I thought. I thought, what would people think of me if they knew that I thought of myself as an alcoholic? It's not a bad thing. It's not a stigma. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a disease. The only reason to be ashamed is if you're not sober. And then that's when you're carrying the guilt and shame. So when you don't have to carry that pack of crap, you don't have that weight on your chest, it's nothing to be guilty or shameful for. I'm a grateful alcoholic. I love the person I am today because I'm a grateful alcoholic. I wouldn't be who I am today if I wasn't a recovering alcoholic. Every 24 hours, they add up, man. Work the steps. Go to meetings. Read your big book. Don't drink. With that, I'll pass.